We are live. This is Travis from Carter Cal Capital, helping you fight for your financial freedom throughout the forex market. This is episode 293 of Trade with Travis. Hopefully, everybody's doing very well on this Thursday morning. This is our last session of the week. Let's go ahead and make it good. Let's go ahead and go through the disclaimer, and then after that, we'll talk about everything else. I'm not a CTA, so I'm not going to tell you whether to buy or to sell. What I'm going to do is teach you education, and from that education, you can be able to make your own informed decision. Understand that trading involves risk. It involves risk of being able to make money, also involves risk of being able to lose money. So please keep that in mind. And understand that past performance is not indicative of future results, which means that if you end up making money yesterday, it's not promised that you're going to end up making money today. So with that being said, as we go through and put everything else, or get everything else situated, hopefully everybody end up doing very well over the course of these last couple of days for its trading. We end up talking about two opportunities on US 30 and on US 30 and on NAS 100 for its overall trading opportunities to be able to get in. So if you end up catching those trades yesterday, type in a Y or yes, or type in what type of day that you end up having. Did you have a green day, red day, or did you stay away? Green day means you made money. Red day means that you lost money. Obviously, stay away means that you didn't do anything. Going into today is a very light day. We end up having FOMC meeting minutes yesterday. That end up making the market kind of rock and making the market kind of move a little bit. And we'll talk about that, especially when it comes down to indexes. We'll actually start off with the indexes first today, and then after that, we'll kind of go from there. So today, not that much news. We're just going to go ahead and jump right into the trades that we end up taking in general. And then after that, we'll go from there. And go ahead and show myself onto the screen. Hope everybody's doing very well. This is more of a recap because I don't see anything else for us being able to get in. At least the last time that I ended up checking early this morning when it came down to certain trades. So this was the plan. US 30. We end up saying two things. One, let's go back to the daily. We're going to start off the daily, and then after that, we'll get back into everything else. With US 30, we end up saying that this market was in consolidation. We've seen that the consolidation range ended up going from a high of 34,400 all the way down to 32,500 when it came down to movement. Yesterday, the market has finally ended up breaking the Ichimoku cloud to the downside and continued to keep on moving, but it has not hit the support bar when it came down to that movement. So while we're looking at that, the thought process would be, okay, well, we'll be looking to be able to sell, and that's exactly what we end up doing. And we end up doing it based off of the trade that we end up starting to look at early back in May, or at the beginning of May, when the market started to be able to make its move. We've seen that we had a little bit of consolidation from this overall point. I had our stop loss above 33,475. The market finally ended up going into that position. We ended up taking a trade in this position. We're going after 500 points. It ended up taking 2 days to be able to get there, but that's the reason why you end up doing vortex trades, because once you end up leaving the high volume node, you're running into unfair market prices and low volume nodes and everything else like that. And it was kind of easy to be able to understand where the market was going to officially go because we've seen this movement before. And we kind of do, when you end up doing this style of trading, you basically end up going based off of what ended up previously happening by just looking over to the left and knowing that we end up having consolidation. And go to the daily. Oh, matter of fact, let's go to the hour. If we go to the hourly, we can see that we end up having that same movement happen right here at this point. Happen right here at this point from December to early portions of January on that movement. The market finally ended up breaking past that point again yesterday. So it was a simple trade. It was a 1 to 3 risk reward ratio, so we end up getting 3% out of the trade by only risking 1%. Now we're just waiting on to see where the rest of this market is going to end up going. We know that the supports are down here at 32,500. It's hit right here. It hit early in November of 2022, December of 2022. Did the same thing in March of 2023, and currently right now we're looking at seeing this market basically go down to that position as well. So you did not get into this position. You did not get into this position when it came down to the trade. Now the next thing is, okay, what do we do? We still have this small little spot in this small little area of tradable positions that I would look at being able to get into. The only thing that I would kind of pay attention to just a little bit more would be, can we get a solid retracement? because we end up having or because we have a true trend of a move to the downside, what I would look for is trying to see if we can get a counter trend line break. If you're not familiar with a counter trend line break, or what happens is that I expect that the market is going to end up going up just a little bit more once it goes up, and then um, it finds a value price to be able to keep on pushing up to. What you'll end up doing is basically on putting a trend line on the overall movement, and then from there, once it breaks and then retests, then I'll be looking at being able to make another entry, and that entry will be all the way down to the 32 500 position. But 500 points over the course of the last week, which is very good. Ended up doing it in 2 days, so um, am excited about that. Now we're just looking for the next movement overall. So that was US 30. Let's go to Nas 100. Nas 100 was a little bit different. We end up saying that we end up catching the buy trade, going to the upside, end up hitting that position a few days ago. The market fell all the way back to it literally fell all the way back to the position where we thought it was going to end up going, which was 13,607, which was basically that little small consolidation that we end up having in this area as well. We did that taking advantage of the gap that we end up seeing from here. I'm going to move that oval or ellipse into that area so you can be able to see it. And as soon as it ends up getting back into this area, pop right back into that unfair market price, and then after that really sprouted out right when the news came out. So gave two opportunities, and this is starting to show or starting to build out a new consolidation block that you'll have to be able to pay attention to overall, which will be right here when it comes down to movement. Okay, so am interested in that movement overall. Now we're back in consolidation, so I'm just gonna wait and kind of pause off from there. Everybody, give me one quick second. I'm gonna go on mute and get off the camera real quick. Okay, and we're back. I'm sorry about that. So um, end up taking a position to the downside. Now the market has popped back up here. We are kind of getting a little bit of a consolidation. The reason why I'm calling it The reason why I will call this consolidation is because it bounced right back off from this ascending triangle that we end up seeing. Typically, in an ascending triangle, you'll see that the market will pop to the downside, but it popped to the upside on this one, fulfilled that overall position, and then after that, the market started to move up to the upside again. If it rejects off the same high that we end up taking a look at, which was right around 18,850, and then after that pushes to the downside, then we will be in true consolidation. And then after that, the explosiveness of this move going back down to the downside from this little gap that we end up taking care of may end up being a little bit slower the next couple times that it ends up happening, but may end up being a natural position to look at being able to get in uh, if it makes sense for you from a equity management standpoint. Let's go to Smart Trader. Let's see. Um, okay, let's go to United States dollar index. Let's talk about what ended up happening overall when it came down to that. Um, we ended up talking about being able to buy off of this one, looking for a counter trend line break. We said that you wanted to get in before 12,920 because of where the market was the last time. They ended up breaking above that, rejecting above that, and then after that started to push back up. The reason why we're doing that is because we're trying to take advantage of this movement all the way back up to the 12,000, basically 13,000 area when it came down to that movement. And we're starting to get that, which is good. If you stayed in that movement, then obviously we are still in the positive. So the question would be, where's the market going to eventually end up going? I still have my take profit at 13,000 when it comes down to this movement. We take a look at it from a weekly perspective. We can clearly see that the market is still bullish. We can clearly see that the market is still trying to flow up to that green bar that we end up talking about, basically at 13,070, which was the high. Um, and see how the market is going to end up flowing off of that. The weekly's in the buy zone. The daily, last time I checked, was in the sell zone, and it's still in the sell zone at this particular point. But I don't think that people saying that this market being overbought is going to deter them from being able to stop selling at this point. We'll just see that the market will continue to keep on pushing up past this resistance, and then after that, we'll see what move it end up taking after that. So, market is still bullish in my mind, even with the news that end up coming out. We can see that they'll actually end up being a positive influence instead of being a negative influence on that. Oil, I'm just going to look at it just for the show at this particular point. We talked about this market being in a triangle. It broke out of the triangle to the upside, and then from there it started to reject. We can clearly see that we're in a position of this market rejecting from the overall highs that ended up breaking out. It, it ended up breaking out one time, pushed up. You kind of draw it out what ended up happening. Broke out. That's the trend line. So undo that. Market ended up breaking out, ended up retesting. Then after that, started to push up again. But it has not broke the high of this movement. The high of this triangle is up there, which is at 79.73 or 76, basically $77 a barrel. So um, this may end up being a fake out. The market may end up falling down. Who knows when it comes down to that? I did not take this trade still. The reason why I still haven't took the trade is because of where the market is just overall um, in general. Been in consolidation for a while. If you're not a consolidation style trader or a grid style trader, you're probably not making a lot of money off of this movement in the first place. If you are, then you can see and kind of reap the benefits of this market kind of giving a defined position of where it has to go to be able to make money off of it. But me personally, I wasn't interested in being able to do anything off of it. Taking a look at gold. Gold, we end up looking at this market and having an expectation that it was going to end up breaking this purple trend line to the upside at some point in time, but that means that the United States dollar would have been weak. So we continue to say that this market was going to end up being bearish, and we kind of defined where this market was going to end up going from a consolidation standpoint because it showed at 1955 that it had a little bit of support. So yesterday, what ended up happening, or earlier today, what ended up happening was that the market ended up popping back into that spot. Um, let's see, I'm going to show this real quick. Let's see. Let's see. Market ended up going back and ended up hitting support again, as it did earlier today, right there. So it ended up popping up to the upside. If you're a trader, once again, that loves being able to trade consolidation, then that's the position to be able to get into. Currently, right now, we're in the middle of it. But if not, then I would kind of wait because, once again, anytime that you're in consolidation, you only have a 33% chance of being able to win. Uh, uh, Chang, what's going on? Hope everything's going well with you. But currently, right now, looking at this market starting to push up. There's no gold set up right now, unless the market goes back down to support at 1955, and then after that gives a chance to be able to get back in. You did not get in at this particular point, or you are looking at being able to make a move. This market has already done hit support 3 times at this point. And remember, after the third time of the market being able to hit, the trade only goes to the halfway point. The halfway point at this point in time is 1970. Uh, I would look at being able to have the market go to the middle. That's a lot of indicators. No, I don't use a lot of indicators. The only indicator that I truly use is stochastic RSI, and then on TradingView, um, I end up using volume profile. I only use 2 indicators really when it comes down to movement, and obviously the Don chain trend meter, being able to see what's happening with the overall trend. But I don't use a lot of indicators personally. Um, let's see, Bitcoin. I did not see what happened to Bitcoin based off of this movement yesterday. I didn't pay attention to what ended up happening with Bitcoin, but we ended up talking about how this market was holding support at 26,500. If we take a look at it, what ended up happening was that the market ended up falling below 26,500, actually ended up going as low as 26,130 when it came down to movement. The market is still considered to be bearish, but if you end up paying attention to this just a little bit, I'm going to move this down. The first time it ended up hitting, this market has defined what consolidation or the consolidation range of where it's going to be. Um, on on May 12th, this market basically ended up falling down to the same position. It was a little bit lower. The low was at 25,850. This low was at 26,000. This low was at 26,886. But once again, they're basically in the same range. So now we have a defined support. We have a defined resistance. So we have a consolidation that we can be able to work off of. Now, when we go back and take a look at this one more time on TradingView and put it up against the high volume node, we can kind of see where everything is kind of peaking to and where the market is going to potentially go. Okay, so currently right now I will wait, but I do like that it's finally done formed a consolidation that we can work off of. Excuse me. And then now what we can do is we can kind of go and kind of pay attention to it a little bit more, um, and kind of define where the market is going to end up going. So if you notice, this is Bitcoin based off of the Coinbase chart, or based off of Coinbase. We can see that we're leaving a high volume node from a dollar perspective with a gap that is right here. So if this market continues to keep on moving at its path on toward the downside, then it's going to end up going potentially to, I got 24,800. So we'll say, just to be safe, 24,900 as the next take profit position if you're selling to the downside. So here goes our support. That support that we ended up talking about was right there to right there. And we'll just wait for this market to be able to fall from this gap to the downside. And if it does, then that will be our position to be able to look at being able to make a movement. I trade will end up being 2 different positions. One, if you want to be aggressive, let's talk about trying to be aggressive first. So you're trying to be aggressive, then what I will look at being able to do is the next time that this market goes up and then falls right below 26,250, I will look at being able to sell down to target that we're thinking about being able to go to. But our stop loss on this one will be a little bit higher. It'll be just above the overall high of the peak point of the volume node, which will end up being that'll probably end up being 26,975. The reason why we're doing that is because we know what a point of control is. We know what a peak of this high volume node is as well. If the market does get away from us, then we know that typically what will end up happening is that you'll find a little bit more selling pressure up here to be able to keep you away from getting stopped out. Okay. Now, if you're being conservative, You really want to let this market kind of play itself out, and you don't want to look at the computer while everything is kind of playing itself out. I will wait. Yeah, you may give up a little bit when it comes down to price, but you know that once it breaks past that area, if it closes below that area, that'll be the trade to be able to get into, and I'll place my stop loss just above 26,500. And now you got the same risk reward ratio, but you are in a conservative position, knowing that the market, once it breaks below this low, it's done tried to break below that low twice. If it does break below the low, then it should get past there a little bit faster. Okay, so two different positions. I'm not going to put these out in the charts yet, but that will be what I will look at for us being able to get in. Okay. That is pretty much it. Unless there's something else that somebody else would like to be able to talk about, if there's a pair or anything else like that people would like to be able to go through, I'm just going to leave it at that. If you like what I end up doing, please make sure that you end up clicking on that boost button. Also, if I provided value for you, don't hesitate to be able to follow. Um, like always, appreciate people that end up popping in on this one. It's starting to gain a little bit more momentum. Obviously, been out for a little bit uh, with school and all other stuff, but we'll see how everything kind of plays out with these charts, and then after that, move forward from there. Like always, make sure that you end up planning your trade and trading your plan. I'll see each and every one of y'all on Monday as we do this all over again. Take it easy.